Hey folks, AG Squared here to show you how to fix a toilet leak. I just purchased a new home, and as part of my inspection we found that the toilet was leaking from the back whenever it was flushed. Now a toilet can leak from the following three places. First, from the base due to an improper or worn out wax ring. Second, from the water hose that connects to the toilet tank due to it being not tightened enough or due to a worn out washer. And three, from the back of the tank when flushing due to a worn out gasket between the tank and the toilet bowl. The leak in this case is due to the third reason. So in this video, I'll show how to fix this as a do-it-yourself DIYer. The first step is to turn off the water valve by rotating it clockwise. Next, we need to unscrew the water hose that connects to the fill valve in the tank. Next, we'll flush the water to drain the tank as much as possible. If you have a wet shop vacuum, you'll be able to remove all the water easily, but it's not necessary as long as you place a small bucket or container underneath the fill valve to catch any remaining water. Alright, once the tank is empty, we'll remove this nut that keeps the tank and the fill valve secured and connected to one another. With that loosened, we'll remove the tank cover and remove the actual fill valve. But when you pull it out, don't do what I did and forget about that bucket. Now, in theory, this fill valve was probably working and didn't require being replaced, but whenever I need to remove the tank, I also like to use the opportunity to put in a completely new toilet tank kit. But if you were just looking to replace the gasket, you could buy the gasket just by itself. Just be sure to get the right size gasket, as some come in 2 inches and others can come in 3 inches depending on your toilet. What I'm doing here is removing the flapper just to show you how easy it is to do so. You don't have to remove this. I went ahead and did it just to show you how it all works together. Now on to unscrewing the 2 screws you see at the bottom of the tank. For this, you'll need a flathead screwdriver. Now this is going to take a little bit of time. Once it's loose, you'll need to go to the bottom of the toilet and loosen and remove the nut from the screw to fully be able to remove the screws. Now we can lift the tank up and place it somewhere. I like putting it in a tub to avoid making a mess elsewhere. This is what it looks like without a tank. And this is the old gasket that went bad and was the cause of this leak. So at this point, if you only want to change the gasket, you just need to place a new one in here and be done. But like I said, I'm replacing everything, including the overflow tube that you see attached to the tank. I'll show how to remove this shortly. But first, this is the kit that I got. It's only around $30 at Home Depot, and I'm a fan of the Corky brand. It's easy to install and good quality product. So let's go ahead and start unpacking it. I'm going to show you exactly what comes in the package and how we're going to go about installing it. Okay, so here on the left, this is called the fill valve. This is what we removed earlier in the video. Its job is to detect when the tank needs water and dispenses it into the tank. It does this through a hose that you see here. This is attached to the overflow tube, which also has the flapper attached to it. The overflow tube's job is to prevent water from filling above a certain level and potentially causing a flood. And the flapper's job is to prevent water from going into the toilet unless the lever is pushed down, which causes the flapper to be raised and lets water flow into the bowl. And thanks to gravity, flush our shit away. In order to install the new overflow tube, we need to remove the current one. And that's what these tools are for. Unfortunately, as you can see, it didn't do the trick this time, however. The next tool to try is a plumber's wrench. But this also didn't do the trick. Well, I tried to do this the civil way, but this thing is under tight, folks. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Time to go with the oscillating tool and cut it off. Once I cut enough of this, it's just simply going to snap right off. Now to remove the old overflow tube. You can just tell by the look of it that it's never been replaced. It's ancient. Before placing the new overflow tube into the tank, I'll get all of our hardware ready. I like to group these so that I know how to install it in order. In this kit, there are a total of 3 screws. Depending on your toilet, you might need 3, but for mine, I only need 2 of them. The red washer you see there is to create a watertight seal inside of the tank. And then we've got a metal washer and a nut that's going to allow us to tighten the tank to the toilet from the bottom. And that right there is our new gasket. The red piece of plastic rubber will create a watertight seal between the tank and the toilet bowl. Okay, so with that now organized, it's time for me to put this sucker in there. The order matters here, folks. The cardboard washer will be between the black nut and the tank at the bottom. So let's go ahead and put this tank on its side and make it easy for us to install. Once on its side, we just need to feed the tube through the tank. With one hand, I'll press it down into the tank, and with the other hand, I'll feed the cardboard washer, followed by tightening the black nut. Be sure that the flat side of the black nut is facing towards the tank. It should be flush with it. Only hand tighten this nut, but get it on there nice and tight. Next up, I'm going to put on the rubber gasket and place it over the black nut we tightened earlier. As the tank is tightened onto the toilet, the gasket creates that watertight seal. I really prefer these over the older ones. Another reason I encourage you to consider taking on this DIY project. Now we are ready to lift this sucker up and place it on top of the toilet, making sure to align the holes between the tank and the toilet below. Awesome. But right now, it's very unstable. So when you put it down, don't just let go of it, as it might fall off and shatter, ruining your day. I'm going to hold it with one hand, and with the other grab our two pairs of screw, washer, and nut and show you exactly how to feed this in. It's simple. We're going to feed the washer through the screw. This is going to create that watertight seal. And then we're just going to feed the screw through the hole and through the toilet. I'll do the same thing for the second hole. With both screws in, I have more confidence that this tank is not going to just fall and shatter if I let go of it. Then I'm going to take the metal washer and underneath the tank, place it through the screw and hand tighten the nut. Doing this for both screws. These need to be on tight enough to create the watertight seal. So take a flathead screwdriver and tighten that from the tank. But caution, do not over tighten to the point where the tank touches the toilet, as this will cause it to shatter. But we do want to tighten it enough to minimize that separation between the tank and the toilet. As you tighten the screws, alternate tightening them to balance the tank as you're going about this. Do not tighten one fully, as this will cause the tank to be tilted heavily in one direction. Okay, that looks really good to me. So next up, we'll put in the fill valve. This is also very simple. All it takes is to feed it through the hole inside of the tank. The rubber washer should be inside the tank to create a watertight seal once we tighten the fill valve. Now for the overflow tube here. Adjust it so that the height is at the water line as indicated by the tank. For this Corky model, it's really easy to adjust the height. It's just a matter of pulling up or pushing it down. For the fill valve, you'll also want to adjust it so that the right amount of water is being dispensed without causing the water to exceed the overflow tube, as this will result in an always running toilet. No bueno. As you can see here, if I hold the top and hold the bottom, all I gotta do is rotate it and I can adjust how tall this fill valve is going to be. Now to tighten the fill valve using the nut and screwing it at the bottom. Don't over tighten this, as doing so can break the washer and cause leaks. Once that's tightened, we'll take the water hose and screw it into the fill valve. We're almost done. Next, we need to connect the water tube between the fill valve and the overflow tube. We'll start by attaching the clip that came with the kit to one end of the tube. Once attached, we'll clip it to the overflow tube such that the tube points into the overflow tube. Now, the tubes in the kits are intentionally long and are intended to be cut to size. So see how much you'll need and take a pair of scissors or a snipping tool to cut it. And that's how it's supposed to look, folks. Very easy, very simple. So with that now done, the next thing to do is put back our toilet lever. This is also easy. You just need to feed it through and hand tighten the knot from the inside. The plastic material on the rod will have holes where we'll attach the chain from the flapper into it. This is important, folks. You don't want the chain to be too loose, and you also don't want it to be too tight. If it's too loose, when the toilet is flushing and filling back up, that chain might actually get stuck underneath the flapper before it has a chance to close. This will prevent the water from being able to fill up in the tank and causing a constant loss of water. And you also don't want it to be too tight, because then the flapper wouldn't be able to close all the way down, and this will also cause continuous water to be wasted. So you need to find that right balance where a little slack is what you want. The toilet leverage plastic rod will have multiple holes to help you find that optimal chain length, but you may also need to use a snipping tool to cut the chain shorter if necessary. Finally, we're now at the good point where we're going to test our toilet. First, we need to open the water valve back on by turning it counterclockwise. While the tank fills up, it's important to check to make sure there are no leaks anywhere. Before flushing, let the tank fully fill up and make sure that the water stops below that overflow tube. If it doesn't, you'll need to adjust the fill valve's height so that it dispenses less water. Now, time to test flushing it. There should be no leaks anywhere, and you also want to be sure that the flapper closes all the way down and that the water is able to fill back up inside of the tank without any issues. And that completes another DIY do-it-yourself job well done. If you found this video informative and valuable, please like it and consider sharing it with your friends, your family, friendly neighbor, a colleague, your significant other, and even your ex. Doing so greatly helps me continue producing these type of videos for you. And if you're interested in any more DIY do-it-yourself projects, renovations, or repairs, or topics on real estate, finance, or technology, please check out and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I've got a lot of playlists that categorize my content in those topics. As always, folks, thank you for watching, and till next time.